Okay, can you guys hear me? Oh, I should probably put out the notification that I'm going live. Just give me a second, guys. That Parasite Eve ambiance, nothing beats it. How's the balance between the sound of my voice and the music? Hey Emerald, hi Elena. Saw you in the Autism from the Inside chat the other day. It was really wicked seeing you there. Okay, video alerts, putting this out on Discord. Which, by the way, in case you guys don't know, I do have a Discord. You can join it. There's a link to it in the description box. You will have to wait an hour before you can type anything. It's just to avoid spam. But yeah, it's there. And then... Oops. I actually gotta put in the link. Whoops. I am messing up. Bear with me. We'll get started in just a second. Okay, that's it on Discord. Ding, dun, 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 dun. 500,000 subscribers. It's up on Twitter about now. Cool. So, hi guys. We're gonna take it real easy today. Been really busy lately. Well, with not just making videos, but just with the Christmas season and all that. Going up to see family tomorrow. Don't worry, we'll have a video out during the Christmas break. It's probably going to come out on the 27th. Okay? But yeah, I figured I would do this now before I head out. Just going to give it another minute or so just for people to come in, and then we'll get started with the celebration. And I'll explain how everything's going to go for the next little bit. Let me see who's in the chat. Hi, Scythex. Hi, Enderminus. Hi, Gabriel Martinez. Said hello to Alina and Emerald already. Vandal Agents. Hi. Blackjack Lover. Hi. Hello, Indy. Hello, Natsukashi. Hello, Stan. Good to see you as always. Ash, Nicholas, Gork, Enk, Crooks and Fugs, NSG, Ashar, Burbman. I think I already said your name. Maybe Michael J. As in Michael J at the Fox variety? And the end is the beginning is the end. Yara Yara Days. Sorry if I'm missing anybody else. Love from the UK. Hey. Shout out to fellow Brit. All my family's from that part of the world. Hearing 46 and 2 and the Warlock trailer was effing awesome. Yes, it was. Thank you, Gabriel. I really appreciate it. Hello, Solid Python. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes. Let's get started. So I'm going to have ambient music going on in the background. I'm going to take the picture of me and the space and the 500,000 Q&A off in a second. But before I do, I'm going to say this. What I'm going to have in the background is Elden Ring Night Rain gameplay. All right? Of me beating the Everjails. The Ever Dark Sovereigns. All right? I'm gonna have that gameplay playing with the chill music in the background, just so you guys have something to watch while I'm talking, just so you're not bored. You know. Love from Brazil, nice. Hola. Rare Hungarian viewer here, Max. Hi, Gork Shurut. Köszönöm? Is that how you say thank you in Hungarian? Köszönöm? And no, it's not a face reveal. Face reveal comes at 1 million subscribers. Alright, now let's see if I can put the gameplay up in the background. 1 second, guys. So, let me just take this down, put this up. There we go. Hopefully this looks okay. Let's see how it looks in a second. Köszönöm. Yes! Yes! Ha ha ha! I know that from my friend Eliza. She's also Hungarian. Alright. So, this is how it's gonna work, guys. I have a bunch of questions that you guys have submitted to me on both the YouTube community page as well as in my Discord. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to take the questions from the community page first, just a few of them, and then I'm going to take questions live from you. Now, you can submit them just through the chat, but if you want to make sure that, you know, your question gets answered live right now, before the stream ends, the best way to do that is just send in some form of super chat. It also helps me like support the channel and the continued production of stuff here if you want to do that. You don't have to. I'd probably be able to read your live question, but if you just want to make sure that I don't miss it, okay? And then once we do that, I'm going to take the questions from Discord, then I'll take more live questions from the live YouTube chat, and then go back to community page, and yada, yada, yada. Okay, you got it? Now, before I do that, one last thing. I gotta say, like, obviously this is a huge milestone. It's incredible. I never would have imagined in a million years that, like, if you would have told me like 10 years ago, once you start this YouTube channel, you will get to 500,000 subscribers, I wouldn't have believed you. I just started doing YouTube just because I needed an outlet for my personal frustrations, you know, just what was going on in my life at the time. And then it evolved into this, where I'm just doing analyses of video games from a philosophical, psychological, mythological perspective. And you guys are as crazy as me and wanting to check that stuff out. But trust me, I really do appreciate it. And what I want to do before I get into the live questions is I just want to say, I want to give a bunch of shout outs to the people that have helped me get to this point. All right. So, first of all, I want to thank my Discord moderators, as many of them as I can by name. I want to thank Try, Sign Onbind, Fanciful Fae, Getsuga, Flying Goatman, Trailer Trasher, Demon Keeper, Tentacle Ape, Planeswalker, Literal Sock Puppet, Calypso, Captain Carbine, and the Diamond Clone. Some of them are still helping me out, some of them have left a while ago, and I apologize if there's anyone that I've missed. But you guys have helped keep this community positive and loving. And I really appreciate it. I also want to give a shout out to the people that were a part of the support squadron. The support squadron on my Discord server a long time ago. That was back when the YouTube channel used to be focused a lot more around mental health. People like Athena, Horus, and yeah, just you guys really helped a lot of people back in the day. I really appreciate it. I want to thank my editors, the people who help edit my videos together. Some of them are in the chat right now. One of them is Ivonimus. You can see him right there. Another one's Indy. Thank you guys. I wouldn't have survived this past year without you. And I also want to thank Steven. He's helped me edit a couple of videos. I don't think he's here right now, but appreciate it. Official Red Team review. You missed me, but that's okay. Oh, no, thanks, dude. Of course. Hey, Devin. Good to see you, man. And thank you, Ivan, for subscribing at Nigrido. I appreciate it. I want to thank my thumbnail artists. Also, Indy's largely helped with that, but also Eliza. Most recently, she helped do the thumbnail art for my Claire Obscure video. Obviously, I want to thank all my Patreon, Subscribestar, and YouTube members. You guys help keep the show going. I really appreciate it. And then finally, I want to give a bunch of shout-outs to a bunch of fellow YouTubers and other content creators that have helped me get to this point, okay? So I'm going to go in alphabetical order. First is Aesthetic Gamer. He's the famed Silent Hill leaker. You know, he and I have collaborated behind the scenes on a couple of occasions, just trying to... and, you know, he's also provided a lot of content that I've analyzed in my videos. Done videos on. I really appreciate it. Berserk Dude, formerly known as Tranquil Dionysian. He did a video on the manga Blam for my channel a while back. Gaming University, a good friend of mine, and it has an amazing YouTube channel. He does wonderful analyses of like the Remedyverse and the Psychonauts games. He did a video on Psychonauts for my channel a few years ago. I want to thank Gingy, just another wonderful YouTuber. Does these wonderful long-form analyses of various game series. His Dark Souls stuff is amazing. He also helps me figure out how to do like the free cam stuff for Silent Hill F when I did my lore analysis for that. I want to thank Jacksepticeye. He shouted me out in one of his videos. He said that I was one of his favorite YouTubers, one of the most validating things ever. And, you know, he's amazing in his own right. He's legendary, not just for his work, but as probably the prominent autistic YouTuber and setting a good example for all of us and, you know, people like me to follow as somebody who also has autism. John Tucker. Guys, you might remember him. I did the Differently Wired show with him several years ago. That was back when I did the autism and mental health stuff. Wouldn't be here without him and his support. I want to thank Lev Polyakov from Breaking the Rules. He did the Sonic video for my channel, and I've appeared on his channel a couple times. Loco Steve. I probably wouldn't have a career without him today if it weren't for him giving me his blessing to do my own version of the Most Profound Moment in Gaming History video. I want to thank Maddie, oh that's Raspberry, from Twitter. She shared my Most Profound Moment in Gaming History video on Twitter. Drove a lot of traffic to my channel. Also met her in real life. She's actually a really nice person. Bought a couple of her books. I want to thank all the MGS Con peeps. People like Yong Yad, DRK from Outer Heaven, Emilio Lopez, Ruby Taki, Mitchell Hammond, Bad Humans for being all lovely people when we did our panels together at MGS Con. I want to thank Nitroid and the Kojima Frequency for having me on their show and being awesome as well. Nomad Colossus, the greatest Team Eco content creator ever. An absolute legend. He's also been lovely to me behind the scenes. We've collaborated on a number of occasions, and hopefully we'll be able to do that again when Project Robot comes out. Rachel Moorfield, she's responsible for, I want to say, you know, saving my life, frankly. I won't go into more than that. I want to thank Mike and Kaysen from Resident Arc for having me on their channel and for doing a bunch of collaborations on my channel. You guys are absolute legends. They're the absolute best at video game analysis on YouTube, bar none. I want to thank Shoe on Head. She, you know, was largely instrumental in helping me start getting a bigger following. She shared my Truth About Asperger's Syndrome videos on her Twitter and drove a lot of people to my channel. It was like the first major influx that I ever had, and I also met her in real life. Really, really lovely person. Smotown, the smoiest of the towniest, an absolute legend as well. He does amazing videos on the Soulsborne games, and he's just been a really great friend behind the scenes. Stefan and James from Boyo Alert, when that was still around. Stefan does Uber Boyo, and James does This Young Gin Life. Their videos really helped shape the direction of my channel, and I've collaborated with, I collaborated with Stefan. I didn't collaborate with James, unfortunately, but yeah, they were really cool. The Masked Man for being a good friend behind the scenes. Unfortunately, we haven't collaborated yet, dude. I do want to do it at some point. It's just a matter of finding the time and, you know, the right subject, right? I want to thank the Sphere Hunter for chatting and being kind behind the scenes and collaborating on just a couple ideas regarding Silent Hill F. Third Eye Drops, really nice guy. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And just a couple more. I want to thank Fash12349 for being just cool and being my favorite YouTuber, and you know, just being, you know, like anytime I'd be working on a video or putting you know, graphics together, I'll have him in the background, just listening to his videos, and you know, really helps deal with the boredom. And then finally, your favorite son. He's also, like, much like Gingy, does a lot of long-form analysis of some of my favorite video games. Seriously, check out his Deus Ex stuff, and his Max Payne videos are amazing. And then finally, of course, thank you to my wife and my parents. I wouldn't be alive without them. So, very quickly, I just noticed a couple of super chats that I want to acknowledge before I get into the actual questions. Thank you for bearing with me, guys. This means a lot to me. Clarence Biggums, thank you for subscribing at Albedo. I really appreciate it. And Ivonimus, the aforementioned editor, says, it's been great working with you. I'm planning to turn this editing thing into a business next year, and I probably wouldn't have the confidence to do that if it wasn't for you. You did a lot for us, too. Thanks, man. God bless you. All right. So, can someone remind me some of the other Team Eco YouTubers Max mentioned? I'd like to check them out sometime. Sorry, just getting a sip of water. I mean, there's some. There's Pickle, there's Jacob Geller. They've done great Team Eco related videos. Alright. With that out of the way. Hi Max, what's the best Final Fantasy in your opinion, and why is it 9? It's the most in line with my tastes. It's the most refined out of all of them. Like, seriously, 9 is my favorite. Alright, let's get to the actual questions, shall we? Starting with my community page. Okay, first of all, let me address this. A bunch of people commented, like I put out a call for people to leave their questions in a community post, and a bunch of the top comments are people just complaining that my old Simpsons avatar is gone. Like, here's the reason, like, if I could keep it, I would. But here's the problem. If I ever wanted to monetize the Max Derrat brand, or the Max Derrat face, I can't use that art style, right? Because I don't want to get sued by, I don't know, is it 20th Century Fox or Disney or both? Right, so I had to change it. If I could get some special agreement with a big company like that to be able to, like, put my YouTube avatar on shirts and stuff, sure. But no, I had to change it, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Like, I know a lot of people liked it, but that's the reason why. Alright. Let's scroll down here. Let's start with this. Meltar says, would you be interested in making a video about Twin Peaks? It's strikingly reminiscent of Silent Hill, and its themes go incredibly deep. I really want to do a video on Twin Peaks. It's one of my top 5 favorite TV shows ever. The problem is, there have been so many great analyses of Twin Peaks. I think, like, Twin Perfect's analysis of Twin Peaks is one of the greatest ever. So it's like trying to find an interesting angle. I know, like, one you just mentioned is like how Twin Peaks inspired Silent Hill. That might be interesting. When I've sat down to think about it, I have a hard time just trying to find a way to make that really interesting instead of just, like, listing off a bunch of stuff. I thought about doing a video talking about how Twin Peaks might be one of, if not the most influential TV shows of all time. But again, that's a really, really huge undertaking to sort of research all the shows that it influenced and demonstrate how and what it is that's so powerful about the show that it made it so influential, right? It'll happen at some point, but yeah, it's gonna take a little while. All right. Serena Slackart says, will we get a face reveal at 1 million? Yes, you will. And she also says, I'm assuming it's a she. Sorry. I don't know. Congratulations all the same. You've worked incredibly hard over the years, and I'm still thrilled to be here. You intersect so many of my favorite things in your content. The channel and others like it are why I'm grateful for a world connected by the internet. Oh, thank you, Serena. I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you. All right, Devin Sauls. Here, I'm reading your question, Devin. Says, think you will make a follow-up video on representation of autism or news discoveries in regards to autism in the future. Also, it's been a while since I've heard from you, Max. Okay, 2 answers to that question. First of all, as far as autism representation goes, I'm just going to say, you'll want to tune in for my next video. Okay? Second thing is, why don't I talk about it more often? This is a question, probably one of the most asked questions that I get. The autism stuff that I did is the most meaningful stuff that I did on this channel. It was my favorite stuff that I did on this channel. But unfortunately, YouTube doesn't allow you to really pursue subjects that tend to be diametrically opposed to each other. If it's about entertainment, like I can get away with doing mostly videos on video games and then do the occasional video on a movie or an anime, right? Because they're entertainment. But the problem is autism is a subject surrounding mental health, and then unfortunately when I would do videos on autism alongside my video game videos, barely anybody would watch the autism videos compared to the video game videos, and that would be fine. But the problem is that when you put out videos that don't do as well on your channel, YouTube takes that as a sign that, oh, we should stop recommending this channel so much. And unfortunately, as a result of doing autism videos and video game videos at the same time, it was killing my channel and my ability to make a living, which is already hard enough, you know? It's like, well, why not make a separate channel? Well, I know, but the problem is, like, I have a hard, like, it would be one thing if I could sort of speak off the cuff about this sort of stuff, but even now, like, I'm sort of pausing in between when I'm talking. And, like, I write down the scripts. I write down everything that I do in my videos in scripts. So, having to do like this channel, the Max Derrat channel, and then do a separate channel on autism would be more work than I'm able to handle, you know? So, as much as I would love to do it, I'm sort of stretched thin at the moment, guys. I apologize. Wombird is saying that the music is a little bit loud. Is it too loud for the rest of you guys? Yeah, I'm just gonna give it a second for you guys to respond. I'm just gonna take a quick sip of water. Hey, Sebasto, a very based individual. It's just a tiny bit loud. Okay, I'll bring it down a little bit. Just give me a second. I will have to just stop the gameplay for a second here. I'll bring it down to like minus 3.5. Let's do that, okay? And then this is where the gameplay's at. It's a little loud. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Is that better? Perfect? Okay, perfect. Great, okay. Yeah, I see people asking questions in the live chat already. Guys, I will get to you as soon as I can. I'm just sticking with the community page stuff right now. I'm going to answer a few more questions there, and then I'll switch over to the live chat, okay? Just keep those in your arsenal and ask them again in a little bit, all right? But yeah, thank you for the question, Devin. All right. MLT, I don't know how to read this name. It says, please look into the manga Homunculus by Hideo Yamamoto. Thank you. I don't know anything about Homunculus. I know a couple of people have recommended it to me in the past. I have other manga that I want to get to first if I ever cover them. I want to cover Vagabond. I want to cover 20th Century Boys. And there's a couple others, like maybe Junji Ito stuff. But yeah, that's going to be a while. Christian Thanish says, top 5 creepiest or unsettling locations in the Silent Hill franchise. Okay, obviously there's the mirror room from Silent Hill 3. The abstract daddy room from Silent Hill 2. Nowhere from Silent Hill 1. What's the name of that, like, human centipede looking monster from Silent Hill Homecoming? You know, as much as I don't like that game, that was actually a pretty badass location. I like the ending, like, the locations in the last hour, Shattered Memories, that was badass. And unironically, the Scarecrow Field in Silent Hill F. That was awesome. Alright. So there's 5. Strahd Clear Sky says, congrats on 500k Max. Thank you very much. You deserve it. I've been watching your videos since your first ever analysis of MGS2's codec call with the AI, and I was enthralled with your videos ever since. Thanks, man. Thank you so much for sticking around. Since you're into alchemy and alchemical studies philosophy, I have a question regarding Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Will you do analysis on Amnesia and its connections to alchemy, similar to how you analyze Full Metal Alchemist? Okay, low-key, I've never played Amnesia. I know. But nobody's ever mentioned that it has alchemical elements. If it does, maybe I'll have to boot that one up the list. Oh, another thing, Amnesia has these total conversion mods called custom stories, and one of them called The Great Work. If it wasn't so obvious already, it's based and heavily relies on alchemy in its story. Oh, well, okay. Does the canonical story have anything to do with alchemy? Because that, unfortunately, like, unless it's like, I know, like, for example, some people have asked me to talk about the Enderall mod from Skyrim, because apparently it has a really good story. Unless it's something like that, where it's that popular, I'm probably not going to be able to do it. Sorry, man. It's just I don't really have that much time. And Angels and Lions asks, considering the Avatar catchphrase, would love a video on your connection with The Simpsons and what it means to you. Okay. As a part of the 500,000 subscriber celebration, I have thought about doing a video on something related to The Simpsons, but we'll have to see how things go over the next couple weeks, because unfortunately, guys, like, I'm already bogged down with a whole bunch of other stuff that I gotta do. Hopefully it will happen. If it doesn't, I think, even if I don't do it for the celebration of this milestone, I can imagine doing something kind of funny with it for, like, April Fool's Day. I think that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, just stick around. And then, final question that I'll answer from the community page for now, and then I'll move over to the live chat for a little bit, okay? So put your questions in now, alright? Sleazy Wheezy says, you ever play through Kingdom Hearts? No, that's another one. I've never played through Kingdom Hearts. Everything I've ever heard about Kingdom Hearts is that it's an absolute nightmare to go through as far as, like, chronology and lore. I heard they're good games, but it's just... there's other stuff I gotta get to first. Maybe when I'm done, like, covering all the Final Fantasy games that I want to cover. Like, I still gotta do 4, I still gotta do 12. Might do 15 at some point. Yeah. I'm not doing 14, by the way. Everybody's asking me to do 14. That's never going to happen, unfortunately, as much as I would love for it to happen. Just, I don't have the time to put into an MMO. Okay, and one final one before I get to the live chat. Did you finish Higurashi and Mineko? If so, what do you think about Ryukishi's storytelling? Well, I'm a huge fan of Ryukishi. I'm about to get to the end of Higurashi. I have not read Mineko yet, but trust me, I will read it. I'm a mega fan of Ryukishi right now. I can't believe I haven't read his stuff sooner. All right. Live chat, let's go. King of the Bees says, yep, Amnesia the Dark Descent does have alchemical stuff in it. Oh, okay, well, that's good to know. I will take a closer look into that over the Christmas holiday, okay? But first, Eugene Poole with the $10 super chat, thank you so much. Says, thank you for your work, Max. If the board has chosen Dylan Faden, do you think this means the pyramid is turning right side up? Maybe. That's a good question. You know, as a matter of fact, I've had this idea for a video. Some of you might remember me doing a video called The Psychology of the Trinity. And you've seen me apply that psychology, like the contrast between trinities and quaternities to video games. Like, how there's the Trinity, where there are 3 good elements in the Trinity, or light elements, and then there's a 4th dark element. And I thought about doing a video sort of pointing out in a bunch of forms of fiction and mythology where that pattern has shown up. And I thought about compiling games like Zelda, Dark Souls, Hollow Knight, and Control. Because think about it. There's the board, which is a trinity. It's a triangle, right? And then there's the former, which was cast out, right? I do like where your head's at, though, regarding Dylan. That might be another example of an excluded 4th, but I'll have to look more into that. It's been a while since I've played Control. All right, let's see here. Are you looking forward to Spielberg's new movie, Disclosure Day? Yeah, I love Spielberg's movies. I'll go check it out. Let me scroll back here. Have you seen the new series by Breaking Bad creator Pluribus? No, what I'll probably do, Pilo, is I'm going to wait until the whole series is done, frankly, because my wife and I finished watching Better Call Saul recently. Amazing show. Probably, again, one of my top 10 favorites. And I just can't imagine, like, watching a show like Better Call Saul and having to wait, like, months for the next season to come out, what with the cliffhangers it has. So I'm probably just going to wait until Pluribus is done and then watch it then. All right. Pillow says, do you like classic point-and-click adventure games? Some of them, it depends. Games like I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream are kind of classics. Canarius Reichman says, are you working on a video on Pluto? Yes, actually. I recently went through it again with my wife and loved watching it. I think it might be one of the next videos that I do in the next month or two, so stay tuned for that. Ragged Drop says, I know you're mostly AL alchemist, but do you consider you belong to any branch of philosophy, say structuralism or so? Well, like, when I say I'm an alchemist, part of that is that, you know, the whole point of alchemy is to sort of conjoin things that are supposedly opposite to one another into a whole. And that sort of goes for my philosophy as well. My philosophy is just amalgamation of things that I, you know, based on my personal experience and my research that I believe to be true. So I can't really put it down to any one particular thing. Like, I could say like some of my favorite philosophers are people like obviously Nietzsche. I like some of Schopenhauer's metaphysical ideas. I like Kant. Who else? I already mentioned Heidegger before in his theory of Dasein. I love just how he gets to the root of certain things. Yeah. Let's just go with that for now. All right. Sorry, I just got to move on because we're gonna go for I think a maximum of 3 hours, guys. So if you're worried about me not getting to your questions, just try to bear with me. I will have to keep drinking sips of water because I'm not a very talkative person normally, so this is already doing a number on my throat, which isn't a good sign. All right. Tell me more about your new profile picture. Do you like it? Indy in the chat, she's the one that designed it. Yeah, and like I said, I changed it just because if I ever try to monetize it, I don't want to get sued, right? Sebasto says, what are other channels that inspire you? For me, it would be you and Jacob Geller, for example. Jacob's great. Some of my personal favorites are Ragnarok's. He's was very heavily influential in my style. I love Smowtown. I love Twin Perfect. Esoterica, which is an amazing channel. If you guys don't feel like I ever go deep enough with the occult and alchemical deep dives that I do, go subscribe to him. He'll give you like the academic stuff that you can't really normally get with my videos. I like Last Stand Media. I like Did You Know Gaming, Gingy, Your Favorite Son. I like the Sphere Hunters videos. I find them all very inspiring. They do wonderful work. Gork Shurut, what is an upcoming game that you most looking forward to playing? Well, obviously, like, it's the stereotypical answer, but it's GTA 6. But I mean, there's a tons of games that are coming out next year that I want to play. I'm really looking forward to Crimson Desert, Neo 3, Witcher 4. I know there are a bunch of other ones that are coming out the top of my head. Project Robot, obviously. Whenever Playdead decides to put out their next freaking game, whenever that is. Spyro 4, which I have to believe is in development. Yeah. If I missed it. Oh yeah, Ontos. Yes, I'm hella looking forward to Ontos. Thank you, Stan. When I said, when I read your comment, Stan Vladimir, you reminded me of Ontos. Yes, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Whatever Yoko Taro's next game is, I'm looking forward to that. If it ever gets made. Alright. Birdman says, could you make a public Google Doc of all the books you have used for your videos? I've been wanting to learn more stuff in general and would love to be able to pick up books that you use in the video. Yeah, sure, man. That's actually a great idea. You know what? I'm going to make a note of that right now, just so I don't forget, okay? Google... I have yellow stickies on my desk. Google Doc with books. And then I could probably put that in, like... my like a link to that in my descriptions from now on. That's a great idea. Thanks, Birdman. Gabriel Martinez says, do you know a game called 9 Hours, 9 Doors, 9 Persons? It is an interesting game with pseudoscience realism or so. I've heard of it. I think I've actually used music from that game in some of my videos, but I don't know much about it. But thanks for the recommendation. I think I have it on, like I had this Microsoft document on my computer that lists all the games that people have recommended to me that I need to play, and I think it's on there. I'll double check when we're done, okay? Let me, Matrix 4. Nice. Let me just get a sip of water. Hey, the end is the beginning, it's the end. Have you heard of the visual novel class of 09? It's really good, but mean-spirited. No, I've never heard of it, unfortunately. Visual novels are something that I'm sort of getting into. When I'm done reading Rikishi stuff, I gotta get into Suda 51 stuff, because that's another, like, his... I gotta do the Silver Case, I gotta do 25th Ward, Flower, Sun, and Rain. No More Heroes. Some of those are visual novels, some aren't, but I just... yeah. Damn it. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. It went away, okay. Zach Cage says, hey Max, what's up? Have fun in the stream. I have a question. Any hope for a Siren video? I did a Siren video, dude. Is that the best video? But I did one a few years ago. If you just search Siren Max Derrat, it'll pop up. That's what, I probably need to go back and do that one. And probably do like a contrast between it, Siren 2, and Siren Blood Curse. Maybe next Halloween, we'll see. JB2 Einziger. Hey Max, what words of encouragement would you offer to a fairly small YouTube channel which is trying to focus on long format analysis style videos and survival horror? You're a real inspiration. Thank you very much, dude. Excuse me. The most important thing that I can offer advice, like there are two pieces of advice that I offer to everybody who asks me that question, okay? One, be persistent. Do not get discouraged. Just keep putting out content, even if it's horrible. My early videos are absolute trash. But you get better over time when you pay attention to what people who have your best interests at heart say, and people who are constructive in the comment section. Pay attention to what they have to say, and then improve from there. Just don't ever stop. That is the most important thing. Be persistent. Second thing, figure out what you can provide to people that other YouTube channels have not. If you're going to do what other people are already doing, you have to be absolutely sure that you can do it 100 times better than they are. Me, I was able to build up my channel by trying to find deeper elements in video games that other people didn't notice, and I was able to reliably do that by looking into the mythological, psychological, and philosophical inspirations behind games with great stories, okay? So, if you follow those two pieces of advice, you're already way ahead of the rest of the competition. Alright? Good luck, dude. The Neon Angel. I think older comics really got some profound ideas that have not been explored nearly enough. I'm certain that the themes of gods and darkness have a lot in common with what he covers on... Oh, that's not a question. Max, have you heard of a Shrek... Hey, Shrek. Have you heard of a game called Garbage Bad Dream Adventure? I think it would be an amazing game to cover. It explores a lot of Freudian and Jungian psychology. No, I haven't, actually. You know what? I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a lot of video game recommendations. Guys, if you have video game recommendations, let me know. I'm going to make a list of them. I'm going to make another yellow sticky note and list them for the stream, okay? So, Garbage Bad Dream Adventure. Okay, I'll do a couple more and then I'll switch over to Discord, alright? I'm sorry, like, don't worry, like, you guys can post your questions again, when we go back to the live chat, okay? But I'll take a couple more. Sebastian says, what do you think of the Control 2 reveal, and what do you think what we saw implies? Well, the Control 2 reveal was probably my favorite reveal at the Game Awards. Very, very much excited for it. It's looking like they're going like a Devil May Cry route for the combat, which I'm all about. I want to know what they're going to do to sort of really connect the worlds of Control and Alan Wake together, and Max Payne. I have to believe that the reason why they're doing the remakes for Max Payne, which I thought that was going to come before Control 2, but anyway, I have to believe that they're going to try and loop him into the Remedyverse somehow. Somehow. Right? I have to hope that that's the direction that they're going with Control 2, right? Alright. What's your opinion on the Doom movies and books? I love them. I think Dune 2 is probably one of my top 10 favorite movies I've ever seen. I was in tears at the end of that movie because of how amazing it was. All right. I'm going to read the super chats, and then we're going to switch over to Discord questions, okay? I'm sure Doki Dash says, I'm sure you'd love Chilla's art games. Love you too. And I've never heard of Chilla's art. Let me write that down. And thank you very much for the super chat, Doki. I really appreciate it. Anonymous says, have you heard of an indie game called House of Velez? No, but I have heard of House of Fata Morgana. It's not the same thing, I know. It's just... But I'll write it down. Thank you for the recommendation, Ivan. I discovered it yesterday. It really made me think about censorship versus artistic freedom. Yeah, I'll look into it, man. Thank you. Neil Von Holtum asks, have you ever had a nightmare where you're trapped on Kim's PDF shift from Ghost in the Shell to Innocence? No, can you imagine? That would be freaky as hell. Oh god, and just like looping through everything. Alright. I'll answer this one other question because he tagged my name. Maverick says, hi Max Derrat. Sorry if anyone has asked already, I just got on here, but are you going to do that video on Baroque? Yes! Yes, I will do a video on Baroque. I'm just not sure when. Probably within the next few months, okay? I know it didn't win the poll, but it's such an interesting game with a very deep lore. Yeah, just because it didn't win the poll doesn't mean I'm not going to cover it. It's just, you know, I try to determine based on the polls that I do which games I cover first. Right now, I'm just about to finish Earthbound. Hopefully do a video on that. Spoiler alert. Man, and I'm going to have to change the video over in a second to a different Everjail boss. Here we go. This guy sucks, by the way, the first time you fight him. And by the way, if it, like... Just looking at the gameplay footage that is going on right now, each video that you watch is the first time that I ever beat this boss. So if I'm ass, yeah, I know. Alright. I highly recommend mouthwash. Yeah, mouthwashing is great, but everybody's already done videos on that, so I'll wait a little while before I ever do a video on that. Alright, over to Discord now. Hold your questions, guys. I will get to them as best as I can in a little bit. We're just switching over to some of the pre-submitted ones first. Okay, here we go. And as I bring this up, let me take a quick sip of my water. One sec. Alright, okay, there we go. Skip the ad, I don't need that. Alright. DJ, okay, you already submitted your question. Alright. And Ian asks, given your propensity of alchemy, have you ever tried Potioncraft Alchemist Simulator? Given it's a game where the end goal is creating the Philosopher's Stone, I believe it's something you'd take interest in. And I, for one, would love to see your opinion on how accurate the game is from the lens of someone who is deeply into the actual lore it is clearly inspired by. I have heard of it. I think my wife actually pointed that game out to me when she saw a commercial for it for the Switch. I think. It might be on Steam too. I have to look into it again. But thank you for reminding me of that. Here, that's another one I'll write down real quick. Potioncraft Alchemist Simulator. Thank you. All right, John Halo, nice name. Says, question, what's your take on the immersive sim genre and how does it leave a legacy for future games to keep that DNA? Well, I think it already left a legacy. Like, I've done a video on Deus Ex saying that I think it's the most important video game ever made for that reason, because of how many games it influenced. As for how future games keep the DNA, like, I think the foundation for immersive simulators are generally the same across all the games. It's just a matter of refining and adding detail to what was already there. Like, I think if you were to release a remake of Deus Ex, not like the remastered one they're doing, which looks like absolute ass and not the good kind, a proper remake where they up like all the graphics, change, as much as it might be sacrilegious to say, change the voice performances, improve the controls. I think you re-release that game today and it does even better, because I think it still holds up wonderfully. Yeah, it's just about like improving the detail of what was already there, because immersive simulator games are amazing as they already are. Sorry, I don't know, I can't think of a better way to answer that question. Alright, Ari-chan says, Max, I just want to say you are one of my favorite YouTubers and part of the reason why I started my channel. Thanks, Ari. That's so sweet. I love the way you critically analyze the media you cover, and I'm so happy that content like this exists. Well, thank you, Ari. It's so validating hearing comments like that. My question for you is this. Which theory from Carl Jung do you think has the most validity? Well, probably his theory of archetypes. I mean, it is just a psychological evolution of Plato's theory of forms, kind of, right? And that's an idea that's lasted for thousands of years. And it makes sense, right? Like, archetypal stories and figures are everywhere. You know, that's why the hero's journey is the thing. Yeah. Hopefully that is a good enough answer. Crummy Line says, hey Max, already asked this, but never got a response. Will you be checking out the Death Stranding Strands of Harmony tour? The ones in Canada should be the last ones. Also, since I'm bringing it up, favorite track from both games? I don't know, man. Like, I like all the licensed stuff. I like Churches. I like Low Roar. They're all great. But like, to be honest, the things that I absolutely love about Death Stranding, the music actually isn't really one of them. Even though the music's good, it's not the thing that stands out to me. And honestly, there are other concerts that I'd rather go see regarding video game music before Death Stranding. But yeah, like I'm happy that you love it, and hopefully you get to see it. Artorius, based to name, asks, hi Max, you're one of my favorite YouTubers ever, and I love and appreciate your stance on video games and mental health. My question to you is, what is your earliest special interest that you can remember? Ooh. That's a good question. Well, aside from just video games broadly speaking, which I think was my first early interest, I think it was probably Bionicle. You know, the Lego toys. You know, oh yeah, the autist likes Lego, big surprise. But no, I mean, I did a video on Bionicle on my channel, and the game, like, the series actually has amazing lore. It's absolutely off the chain how much thought and attention went into that series. All right, so that's the battle with Adele done. Here, let me just put up this real quickly while I switch over to the next Everdark Sovereign. Who should we go with next? Let's go with the... No. Augur's kind of boring. Let's go with Fulgor. Yeah, he's a bastard. Oh, shit. Whoops. I opened the wrong media. Hold on, guys. Just give me a second. I'll fix that. Movies and TV. My bad. And then put the music back on. How far were we into it? 48 minutes. Alright, yeah, we're about to go into the Persona music anyway. Alright. Now let me just get back to the intro. And then we should be good. Alright. There we go. Back to the questions. Yelljack says, hey Max, my question for you is, what is your relationship with religion after discovering the profundity of so many different topics? Do you believe that there is a God more than you have before? Personally, I find myself more open to the possibility of there being one after doing my own research. I'm also curious if you're more open to do more literary analysis. Personally, I find Dostoevsky ripe with many humanitarian questions that I think would make for great content for your channel. Personally, I found a lot of interest of what the devil could insinuate in the Brothers Karamazov. Great questions. I've always... Well, I talked about this before. I grew up a Christian, and then I stopped the more that I looked into all the different religious traditions of the world. And that's not to say, like, I'm antagonistic in any way towards Christianity. I think I love just studying religion, and Christianity is no different. It'd be kind of weird if I had, like, any animosity to it, because, you know, a lot of alchemical theory and a lot of Jung psychology is heavily inspired by Christian tradition, you know. But yeah, you know, just to get into why, like, I sort of went from being a Christian to an agnostic would be too complicated of a conversation to have right now. But as far as whether I believe in God, I believe in things that sort of transcend the limits of human consciousness. Let's just put it that way, you know. That's the best way I can sort of answer a question like that right now. As far as Dostoevsky goes, yeah, I'd love to go and cover Dostoevsky again. Like I did one on Notes from Underground a long time ago. But yeah, I'd love to analyze, what is it, The Devils or The Possessed, that book. I'd love to analyze Brothers Karamazov, and obviously Crime and Punishment, which is my favorite book of all time. Yeah, maybe one day. Jeeves, my man, good to see you. He says, hey Max, I've been here, nearly 7 years? Yes, you have. And I have a question related to your transition on content. You used to focus a lot on mental health and acceptance for those on the autism spectrum with stuff like the Differently Wired podcast, and now you make videos that are philosophically analytical about video games. Is there anything you missed from your older AS content, or anything notable about the transition you want to share? Well, I already explained why I stopped doing it. It's not that I wanted to stop doing it, it's just that doing it was sort of unfortunately killing my channel. As much as I'd love to continue doing it, it's just too much work for me to be able to handle at the moment. And as for anything I missed from it, yeah, like I said, it's the most meaningful stuff that I think I ever did on my channel, but, you know, yeah, it is what it is, unfortunately. Plastic Tree says, have you read much Evola or any of the traditionalist thinkers? If yes, what did you think? If no, would you consider it? I mean, Evola, like, I suppose his researches into, like, esotericism and his ideas regarding esotericism are interesting. Like, I don't necessarily subscribe to any of them myself, but to be honest, like, I don't really tend to, like, you gotta sort of diversify your priorities. No, you gotta not diversify your priorities. You gotta prioritize which philosophers you read before others, right? And there are tons of them. And to be honest, Evola, if I'm not mistaken, Evola was the guy who was allied with the fascists during World War II. So why would I necessarily read him? And, you know, there's the exception of Heidegger, but hey, at least what I've read of his philosophy seems to be very antithetical to his associations with the Nazi Party, which, as far as I'm aware, he actively distanced himself from that. So, yeah, probably not going to get to Evola anytime soon. Meg says, hey Max, what are some of your favorite books you have read, and which ones do you think are must-reads for getting into these topics? Psychology, alchemy, and philosophy. Stay yellow. Well, obviously, psychology, read the psychoanalysts, Jung, Freud, Adler, Jean Piaget. What's the name of the guy that wrote... Oh, Eric Neumann. Eric Neumann's great as well. Those are probably the most influential books for my channel for psychology. As far as alchemy goes, yeah, read, like, obviously the alchemy that I tend to focus on a lot with my channel is spiritual alchemy, which Jung tended to popularize. People like Mircea Eliade. I love his books on alchemy, like The Forge of the Crucible, and his research is into it in his History of Religious Ideas. Terence McKenna's ideas surrounding alchemy are really interesting as well. But if you want to learn more about the history of alchemy, you could read, like, the works of Jung's disciple. What's her name? Why is what's the name of the chick that worked with Jung and she wrote a bunch of books on alchemy? I can't remember what her name is off the top of my head. Somebody in the chat remind me what her name was. She did a wonderful book talking about the history of alchemy and its psychological applications. Look into, like, but aside from that, you could read the works of Paracelsus, read the Turba Philosophorum, one of the most influential books in the alchemical tradition. Read the works of Zosimos of Panopolis, the Hermetic tradition, the Emerald Tablet. What was the other one that I just had at the top? Was about to mention. I can't remember. Mary Louise von Franz. Thank you, Eugene. Yeah, read the works of Mary Louise von Franz. And as far as philosophy, can't go wrong with the German existentialists. They have a big influence on my channel. Obviously Nietzsche, Kierkegaard, Heidegger, Kant, Schopenhauer, the Enlightenment theorists like, what was the name of the guy that I recently talked about in my Near Automata video? I can't remember. All right. Just got a few more from Discord. Let me just take another sip of water. God, this is wrecking my throat. One sec. Oh, man. Thank you, by the way, for everybody that's watching live. Appreciate you taking time out of your Saturday to just hang out with me. It means a lot. Okay, yeah, thank you for saying that, Kanari Strikeman, for confirming that for me. Matthew C. says, "Hi Max, I've been following you ever since you started your AS content. It helped me to get diagnosed myself and how I work with / am in a day program for people with autism, mostly more significant than the kind I have. My question is, do you think you'll ever do another Great Concepts Bad Execution movie / series review? I can think of a few movies that would qualify. Also, I'd love to see a video from you on giftedness / Asperger's and existentialism, because I think a lot of us struggle with not feeling like our life means anything, especially since many of us also have OCD." Well, on that second question, again, I might be able to fulfill your wish with the video that I'm releasing next week, so stay tuned for that. As far as Great Concepts, Bad Execution, I think I only ever did that for The Matrix, right? I mean, like, I'm so glad you said that, by the way, dude, just because I don't think really that many people watch my videos on The Matrix. But I'm so glad that you got so much out of them. It was a nice idea. I mean, if you want to offer me some suggestions in the feedback channel on my Discord server, list them. I would definitely consider it. Thank you for the question. Gas Wafer says, "Hey Max, a lot of media tends to use alchemy to just mean magic but potions. Obviously, there isn't always room to implement references to the full history of alchemical practice in a story. But are there specific things that you really wish were included more / you think would contribute to a more interesting conception of alchemy in fiction?" Well, I just wish, you know, the popular media that uses it tries to link it to the alchemical tradition and the actual theories. To be honest, some of the most popular fantasy RPGs that use alchemy don't really use it accurately. Like the Elder Scrolls, I think, is probably the most popular example of this. As far as I know, they don't really have anything to do with alchemy. Like, there are the signs. Like, for example, in Oblivion, you go to the alchemy shop and there's a sign of the Caduceus. But that's about it. The most accurate use of alchemy in video games I think I've ever seen is probably The Witcher, which I gotta do a video on at some point. It's actually crazy how accurate, how much thought went into the alchemical system in both the game, the book series, the tabletop, stuff like that. Flamestroy says, "Hey Max, what are your thoughts on what if all this? What are your? I don't know what you're talking about, Flamestroyer. Sorry, man. Burb. Okay, I already answered your question, Burb. Thank you for submitting it. Adara, what did you study in college / uni? You always talk about young, but have you ever had an interest in having a major in psychology? Much love. Yeah, I've had an interest. I majored in audio production. Like, music used to be the primary focus of my life up until I started doing YouTube. But unfortunately, it never went anywhere for various reasons, so. I don't know. University and college never worked very well for me. It's kind of sucks for people with autism and ADHD. I did get my degree though. Sunny says, "Gonna shred the formality here. Autism content when I've already addressed that twice, Sunny. But thank you for submitting the question." MT Funk says, "Are you yellow because of needs feed and seed?" I don't. Formally, I don't know what are these questions. Prince of Edenia, will you ever cover Stellar Blade at one point? I believe it's more than just a pretty face. I mean, I haven't played it. I want to check it out. I heard it's a good game. What made me stay away from it is that I heard the story isn't very good. And unfortunately, a lot of the games that I have to give my time to are games that I hear have good stories because I need to cover them for the channel, right? I don't know. Maybe. Like, it is a game I want to check out. All right, got a couple more, and then we'll switch back over to the live chat, okay? Thinker. The Thinker 1900. Okay. He just asked me a bunch of questions. I'm not going to have time to answer all these, dude. I'm just going to have to pick one. What are your inspirational... Okay, I'll answer this one. He submitted like 10, but I'm just going to answer this one. What are your inspirational figures who you look up to, fictional and real? Highest, just 3 of fictional and real you can name. Okay. Well, my idol is not one that I think a lot of you would suspect. Look, obviously I look up to people like Hideo Kojima, Jung, Nietzsche. But probably my biggest creative inspiration is Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins. He had the biggest impact on my personality. He, like, the way that he did music and sort of went against the grain of, like, the type of popular music that was being made at the time and how he made it work was so inspirational to me and sort of guided so much of the direction of my life. Yeah, so those are 3. As for fictional, what are some fictional characters that I really look up to? I mean, Solid Snake, I guess. Find something to believe in and find it for yourself, and when you do, pass it on to the future. Other fictional characters. Atticus from To Kill a Mockingbird, maybe? What's one other fictional one? Oh, I don't know if I look up necessarily to this person, but I appreciate, like, I don't know, like, I'll just say, what's the name of the character from that Robin Williams plays in Good Will Hunting? Like, I just appreciate how much he stuck up for Will and what he was going through. And how he was warm and loving without ever being a pushover. I just... Something about that character that I always loved. Yeah, that's just the best I can come up with at this time. All right, and 2 more questions, and then we'll move back over to the live chat. Nessius, Max, what is heavier? What? Max, what is heavier, a kilogram of steel or a kilogram of feathers? Are we talking about gravity? Like, why are you asking me that? Obviously, a kilogram of steel is heavier. Unless we're in opposite land. But if we're talking about gravity, like if you have enough feathers in the bag, right, they'll drop at the same... Yeah, anyway. And Festive Faye, one of my moderators, would say, would you love us if we were worms? Of course I would. You know, just as long as you don't identify as wormkin, that'd be kind of weird. All right. So those are all the Discord questions. I know some of you submitted some after that. But, like, I have a whole bunch of other ones in the community tab that I got to get to first. All right. Now... To the people that are watching live, please resubmit whatever questions that you had while I just take a quick sip of water. All right. Ziza says, favorite bands other than Tool. Okay, I'm going to give you my top 10 favorites, okay? And these have been my top 10 favorites for about a decade, all right? So, starting from 10, going all the way to 1. My number 10 favorite artist is Beck. Number 9 favorite artist is Tool. Number 8 is The Smiths. Number 7 is Led Zeppelin. Number 6 is The White Stripes. Number 5 is Michael Jackson. Number 4 is The Beatles. Number 3 is Rush. Number 2 is Green Day. And number 1 is The Smashing Pumpkins. Aside from that, like, I have so many artists that I love. Like, I love all the 90s grunge era bands like Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Pearl Jam. 90s alternative is where a lot of my jam is at. I love Prince. The 80s progressive bands, I love them. Like, I love some dinosaur rock, like Deep Purple, AC/DC. Yeah. Hopefully that's a decent enough answer for now. Devin said, I had no idea your old content was killing your channel. I actually missed your old content. I even sent you an email back in the day, too. I would love to know about positive aspects of autism. Well, positive aspects of autism is pattern recognition. If I didn't have, like, pattern recognition with autism, I wouldn't be able to do my channel, you know? And being able to focus in on things that you're passionate about and work hard at them for long periods of time. If I didn't have that, there would be no Max Derrat YouTube channel. Hail King Rex says, have you ever looked into Digimon? A lot of that lore builds on various mythologies. So I watched the Digimon anime when I was a kid. I watched, I think, all of seasons 1 and 2, and then like half of 3, and I obviously watched the movie. But as far as like the actual Digimon, like apparently there's some really good, really deep lore in like mature Digimon, but I never got into that, unfortunately. Like my wife likes anime. I could probably talk to her about doing Digimon. Right now we're just trying to finish going through, what's his name? Shinichiro Watanabe's works. Don't watch Lazarus, by the way. That's probably the biggest bag of shit that I've ever watched, but obviously he'll always be legendary for Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo. Alright. It's Sean, the Williams kid. Okay, Sean, yes, thank you. Daniel Press says, love your videos. Who are some of your favorite video game developers / creators? Okay. Favorite, obviously, right now is probably From Software and Daddy Miyazaki. Praise be him. Aside from that, Sam Lake and Remedy. I like the guys over at Insomniac, Rockstar. What else? One of my favorite up-and-coming development studios right now is Red Candle Games. They did Nine Souls last year. Holy shit, that's a great, underrated game. They also did Detention, which is a very underrated horror game. What else? Atlus's games. I obviously love all of Atlus's games. Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, most recently Metaphor ReFantazio. What else? What games have I played this past year that I spent a lot of time in? Obviously, I love Kojima. What other studios are there? That's the best I can do right now. If you guys want to, you know, name other suggestions of like some of your favorite ones, and I'll sort of acknowledge them in the chat, I'll do that. Hello, could you check the Project Moon games, Lobotomy Corporation, Library of Ruina, and Limbus Company? The games have a lot of influence from different religions. Very interesting in general. I want to play those games, dude, but the problem is they're so damn long. I really want to check them out, especially after I did my video on Kabbalah. Everybody's like, dude, you gotta play those games. Why didn't you talk about them? It just gets just like, them collectively takes like 300 hours to get through. I think the most time I put into a game this year was Death Stranding 2, and that took me 150 hours to platinum. So you're asking me to do that twice? It's gonna be tough. I'll get around to it someday, but yeah, I know. It's on my list, I promise. Have you ever heard of the anime Orb? I think you would love it. It's about proving heliocentrism, but overall becomes a story about fighting for truth, even though it's difficult. I've never heard of it. Orb? It's just called Orb? Here, let me write that down. Orb. Brackets. Anime. Okay. No, I never heard of it, man, but thanks for the recommendation. Hey, Max, have you ever had the thought of making a video of how you would make a Silent Hill game, what gameplay, story, and themes? I would love to see that. I thought about, like, my idea, like, I've thought about making Silent Hill fanfiction in the past. I've always thought about doing some, like, sort of variation of Silent Hill 2 as a movie, but the problem is it's sort of being done right now, and it's coming out next month with Return to Silent Hill, which, by the way, to those who keep asking me what are your thoughts on it, I don't know. We'll see when it comes out. I don't think it's going to be very good, because, honestly, I never liked either of the Silent Hill movies. Well, I mean, Silent Hill Revelation is a masterpiece, provided you don't take it seriously at all. It's a comedic masterpiece, but if you do take it seriously, it's one of the biggest pieces of crap I've ever seen in my life. The first Silent Hill movie is gorgeous to look at, and it's clear that Christoph Gans loves the source material, but just because you love the source material doesn't mean you understand it or know how to adapt it into a good story, and I don't think he did a very good job there. But there are a lot of people that disagree with me. like some very prominent YouTubers that talk about movies love the original sound of the movie. People like Moist Critical, people like Chris Stuckman. So, you know, don't feel bad about liking it. All right. Pochita Fan 666 says, "Hey Max, I love the work you do. Have you ever watched Evangelion? I think you would love it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on how it approaches existence and philosophy." I have wanted to do, like, I did a video on Evangelion a couple of years ago. It's not the best, it's okay, but I do want to return to it and do an analysis of it from a more philosophical angle and sort of take into account, what's his name? Hideaki Anno, his experience writing and producing Evangelion, and then the end of Evangelion movie. I'll definitely do a video. You know what? I might even do a video on Evangelion next year. So stay tuned for that. Have you heard of Nights into Dreams for the Sega Saturn? It is inspired by Jung's ideas of dream interpretations and was made by the creators of Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes, I do know about that game. I do want to check it out. From what I understand, it's a pretty short game, and it's actually a very good game too. But I think the next Sega Saturn game that I'm going to check out is probably Baroque. But then yeah, I'll probably do one on Nights into Dreams at some point. Thank you for reminding me of that one. Do you think Sipsy says, do you think strategy games meaningfully improve general cognitive skills? I mean, they certainly didn't hurt. I mean, yeah, I think video games can help in a lot of different areas in regards to brain functioning. Pattern recognition, that's what a lot of games are about, right? Let's see. Have you thought about playing Pentiment? No, that's the Obsidian game, right? No, I I still got to do all my videos on that I want to do on Fallout New Vegas. I still got to do a video on, and I should have gotten this done by now, which is the Mr. House video, especially with Fallout Season 2 premiering. I want to do a video on Ulysses as well, a video sort of comparing all the factions together. Yeah, it's gonna be a minute before I get around to Pentiment. Or says, "Hi Max, some of your videos are not available because of copyright restrictions. The original Ghost in the Shell video, any chance of a re-upload?" Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that, dude. Yeah, the original Ghost in the Shell video got taken down for some stupid reason. Yeah, the Ghost in the Shell 2 one is still up just fine. What the hell? I don't know. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. I gotta take care of that. I'm sorry, dude. It's been, my life has just been an absolute nightmare lately. Ghost in the Shell. Okay, thank you. Question: have you considered looking into Minecraft mods or mod packs before? Yeah, dude. Like OG Max Derrat fans might remember that in the background of a lot of my videos, I used to do just a lot of like Minecraft visuals with mod packs and shaders. It's a lot of fun, and some of the Minecraft mods have gotten absolutely insane. You know, the problem is, even though Minecraft's one of my all-time favorite games, you know, go figure, the autist likes Minecraft, I had to stop playing it just because it took up so much of my time, right? And I had to dedicate a lot of my time to playing games that I could cover for my channel. So, I love playing Minecraft, but my obsessive personality would just spend so much time in Minecraft and get absolutely nothing done, you know? Indy says, "I keep asking Max how he can find out stuff about Zelda, and he always answers autism." Yes, that's true. Willen says, "Have you heard of the channel Animus Empire / Mark Darien? He does great work unifying Jungian analytical psychology and behavioral psychology, which are seen by some to be incompatible." Really? No, I've never heard of them. That's pretty cool. Yeah, let me write that down. Animus Empire. Mark Darien. Brackets YT. Okay, thank you. No, I'll look into that. Vandal Legions. Any plans on covering Hollow Knight / Silksong game? Dude, I want to play. I want to play Silksong so bad, dude. So bad. Problem is, again, there are too many other games that I have to get to first. And I just figured I would wait until, like, I think a lot of people are just waiting for, like, people like Mossbag to do his videos on that. I think I'll do a video on Silksong, or maybe like a unified theory of Silksong and the original Hollow Knight in like a year or two. It's just, there's too many other things that I gotta get to, man. Like we were just talking, I got to do Baroque, I got to do Earthbound. I want to do Shin Megami Tensei 5 and Strange Journey at some point as well. Yeah. Anyway. I always considered a missed opportunity that no one took advantage of the Baldur's Gate 3 launch to discuss the religions of the Sword Coast. Yeah, I need to get back to it. That's another one, Baldur's Gate 3. I want to play that with my wife in the new year. Lori Gay Cryptid says, I just want to thank you for making philosophy and alchemy easy to understand for beginners. I've been watching a lot of your videos to help with world building for my D&D campaign. Thank you. That's so nice to hear, Blurry. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of people who say that. That always makes me so happy when they say, hey, just, it really helps. The videos that you do on alchemy really help with keeping the consistency of the world building that I do for my own hobbies or my own books and stuff. Big shout out from Goat Mulcatum says, big shout out from Stockholm, Switzerland. Your videos have kept me company on many a boring shift at the office. Oh, thanks, man. There's a Stockholm in Switzerland? I didn't know that. Dude, if I were to retire anywhere in the world, it'd be Switzerland. I went there briefly about 15 years ago, and it's the most beautiful place on earth. It's literally what I've imagined heaven would look like my entire life, brought to life. It's so beautiful there. Is Night Rain worth it if I burnt out with every weapon in Elden Ring? I mean, I enjoy it, but, you know, Elden Ring sort of got a very varied response. People like me, people like Smoketown love it, but other people just sort of like, oh, we went through it all and I've seen everything and don't want to play it anymore. But, you know, there are people like me that just love the combat and the Souls game so much that I can just do it over and over and over again. From Software and Atlas, yeah, I love them. Who's Lila? Mojo Noja says, have you thought about Who's Lila? I've never heard of it. Here, let me write that one down as well. Thank you for the recommendation, and Indy giving it her seal of approval is much appreciated. So I'll look into that. Thank you. And Alina with the $49.99 super chat. Oh my gosh, you're way too generous, Alina. Thank you so much. Would you consider a video on autistic characters in games, Hex Skylanders? Is there a PO box where I could send a book I think you'd like? Okay, that's a bunch of questions, but because you were so generous, I'll answer them all, okay? Autistic characters in games. Again, stay tuned for next week, because you'll probably get that. You'll have to list a whole bunch of other ones. I never got into Skylanders, to be honest. If you want to send me an email listing a bunch of autistic characters that you're aware of, I mean, I would definitely consider the idea. Is there a P.O. box where I can send a book I think you'd like? Yeah, here. Yeah, Alina, I do have one, but just send me an email and I'll send it to you. My email is maxderrat@yahoo.ca, okay? 3, would you collaborate with Canadian Guy A? Yeah, I love Canadian Guys. Like, I think I watched a whole bunch of stuff from him when Crash Bandicoot It's About Time was coming out. And then he's been like giving a whole bunch of updates regarding Spyro 4 recently, right? Yeah, he's keeping my hope alive. Yeah, I would be down. And would you do a video on the Legend of Spyro trilogy? No, probably not, but if Spyro 4 comes out, I might just have to like drop all the rules that I have for my channel and do a video on it, just because it'd be too huge. He doesn't even mention where he falls on the ancient waifu war. What, between, what's her name, Asuka and the blue-haired chick? Dude, they're like teenagers. I think the old ones were pro. Have you ever played 3D Dot Heroes? I've never heard of it. Solid Oxide, but thank you for pointing it out to me. Okay, Jesus, I will answer your question in just a second. Looks like we're about to get to the bottom of the chat here. And then I'll switch back over to the pre-submitted questions. But guys, can you just give me a second? I just really need to use the washroom because I've been drinking so much water because of my throat. Nature calls. So just give me 1 minute. I'll be right back. Just enjoy me kicking this dragon's ass. Alright, thanks for your patience, guys. I am back. Ooh, the Nameless King. Dude, remember the first trailer for Elden Ring Night Rain? And when he showed up, I was losing my frickin' mind. I was like, is that the Nameless King? Shared universe confirmed? Alright. I'll write down 3D dot hero solid oxide, okay? There we go. I'll look into all this stuff later tonight, alright? Eugene Poole says, any familiarity with the music of Death Grips, Max? No, I've never heard of it, unfortunately. But thank you for your subscription. I really appreciate it. Love or hate, Who's Lila? Deep, deep occult and mid-light game. Lots of tarot too. Great. Why are autistic people so into Spyro? My partner adores Spyro, and he's also super autistic. Well, I can tell you just why I love Spyro so much. It's so simple, wholesome. It's not very difficult. It doesn't trigger, like, unfortunately, like, even though I love games, like, obviously, the Souls games, sometimes just playing games like this can really just overstimulate me and make myself feel very stressed out, even though they're fun. But when you play a game like Spyro, it's just a breeze. It's lots of colors, the music is great. Yeah, I don't know. Interestingly, I have an easier time answering that question than when people ask me, why do autistic people have an obsession with Sonic? I don't know. I've never really played any of the Sonic games, believe it or not. That's the thing. That's like, of all the stereotypes that are common for people with autism, that's the one that I fail at. I've never really played any Sonic games aside from Sonic Adventure DX for the GameCube. I know, it's crazy. I need to hand in my autism card. Yeah. That's why I had Lev do the Sonic video for my channel, because I didn't know anything about it. Alright. Take a few more from the live chat, and then we'll switch back over to the pre-submitted questions. Okay, Zezus. What are your top video game music OST? Okay. My all-time favorite video game soundtrack is Silent Hill 2. Alongside that, The Shadow of the Colossus, Nier Replicant, Nier Automata, Drakengard 3, Metal Gear Solid 1. I mean, like all the Metal Gear Solid games, but especially Metal Gear Solid 1. Did I say Persona 5 already? What other ones? I like the soundtrack for Outer Wilds a lot. Let's see, what are... Like, I love the Zelda, like all the classic ones, like Zelda, are great. Speaking of Zelda, we're playing the theme from Twilight Princess right now. Here, you know what? I want to give a more substantial answer to this video. Greatest video game soundtracks. I'm just going to put this into Google. Oh, Chrono Trigger, yeah, absolutely. Xenogears. I love Xenogears' soundtrack. Love the soundtrack for the Legacy of Kain games. Oh, I love the new Doom music by Mick Gordon. That's awesome. Oh, the music done for Elder Scrolls 4 and 5. And obviously all the Final Fantasy stuff. Nobuo Uematsu is probably the closest thing to like a John Williams figure in the world of gaming. Hotline Miami, that's definitely one of my favorites. Journey. Yeah. I already said Shadow of the Colossus. Damn it. I'm reading this article and it just skipped all the way to the top. Fuck, okay, fuck off. I won't read your article then. Yeah, hopefully that was a good enough answer. Dr. Animation DA5491 says, hey Max, question, will you ever get into Gundam anime? There's a lot of it, right? Like, I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, I'm not against it, but there's like so many other anime that I gotta look into. Like, I haven't even watched Attack on Titan yet. That's another one I really want to watch. And will you ever be interested in maybe doing video on autism representation of the series' main character in the main timeline, like Gundam Zeta? Maybe, again, like I was just saying, like I wouldn't be against the idea of doing autism representation in like video games or popular media. I think that's a good way of maybe finding a way to talk about autism on this channel. But yeah, as far as Gundam goes, I don't know, man. Like that's a huge series. Thanks for the relaxing, Max. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, Ridden Jess. I'm not sure if this is the best advice, but your channel could grow even faster if larger YouTubers reacted to some of your videos. What do you think? Well, I mean, that's what's happened in the past. Like, I got a huge influx of people after people like Jacksepticeye and Asmongold and Shuonhead recommended my videos. It's just the nature of the game, right? I mean, you can have your opinions on like whether or not like reaction content is a valid form of content, but I mean, it's here to stay, and you sort of just got to work within the matrix, whether you like it or not. And honestly, like, if people want to check them out and react to them, I appreciate it. So, like, I think recently Leaflet is a YouTuber that reacted to my Metal Gear Solid 2 video. I appreciated that. Sebi, I think his name is, reacted. I really appreciated that. So yeah, guys, like if you want to share like my videos to popular YouTubers to get them to check it out, please do. All right, see if there's a couple more. Okay, you know what, guys? Max not mentioning. Yeah, Shin Megami Tensei. Are we talking about soundtracks? Yeah, Nocturne has a good soundtrack, Hedera. All right, anybody who's already submitted a question after that, just keep it in your arsenal. I'll try and get back to it in a little bit. I'm just going to get back to the pre-submitted questions. But first, let me take a drink of water. Because your boy's thirsty. Not that kind of thirsty. Okay. J.0 says, do you think that video games function as a source of entertainment for the majority of people? More than other mediums, as it requires effort from the player to complete it, limits the medium's potential as art. Well, yeah, as much as I like to try and promote video games as a form of art, I do think the entertainment element is and should be first and foremost, because they're games. What is the point of a game? It's to play. And yes, it does limit that level of interaction, but I think as long as there are games that continue to push the artistic boundaries and people continue to talk about it, I think eventually it will be taken as a serious form of high art. And hopefully, like, I have plans in the new year to sort of take the next step in terms of advancing that. I don't want to go into greater detail right now, but what you guys can do if you want to follow some of my more concrete plans for like how to take my channel's mission to the next level, go over to my Patreon. Now, I'm not asking for you to donate. You know, donate if you want. Like, I appreciate it no matter what. But you can sign up for free if you want to sign up for updates about like really exciting stuff coming down the pipe. There's a link to my Patreon in the description box. I think it's in there. Double J Blueberry. I was about to say Double J Blue Jerry. Says, congratulations, thank you. 3 questions, okay, but I would just answer one, but they seem relatively simple. Okay, what was the hardest video to make? Off the top of my head is probably the review I did for Silent Hill 2 Remake, because there was just it was such an anticipated game for me and people who watch my channel that I wanted to make sure that I did it right. And even though like I loved the game, I wanted to be like even-handed in my criticism, like criticizing it where it deserved to be criticized. And yeah, there's a lot of like toxicity sometimes within the Silent Hill fan community and just trying to navigate that. And on top of that, I was dealing with some horrendous back pain at that time. Like you can go back and watch my stream of the first 4 hours of Silent Hill 2 Remake and how towards the end I was in agonizing pain. So yeah, probably those two factors made that video the hardest one. There probably was one that was even harder, but I just can't think of it off the top of my head. Number 2, what do you do to relax, calm down, release stress? I go into a dark room and just sit for a few minutes. That's what I do, because so much of my life, I'm sure you guys can appreciate this, because I'm playing video games all the time so I can talk about them on my channel. It can lead to like persistent overstimulation and can be very tiring and very exhausting for somebody with autism, you know? So I need to do stuff like that. Otherwise, I just go for a walk. Sometimes I put on a podcast when I'm going for a walk. It's kind of harder to do that during the winter months, but when it's warmer outside, I try to go for a walk every single day to just try and calm down. And then finally, were there any video games or content that you wanted to make a video about, but you realized it was too controversial or difficult to talk about? Yeah, I wanted to do a video sort of just trying to look at The Last of Us Part 2 from like a more impartial perspective, because I feel like a bunch of people at the time that video game came out, people were like, you know, it's fine to feel really positive or really negative about that game. I was sort of in the middle. I thought it was a good game, but I was just disappointed by it. But I just felt like, are people really going to want to watch a video where the discourse is so divided on that game, where I tried to like bridge the gap? Yeah, so I didn't do it for that reason. I wanted to initially, but yeah, maybe one day. All right. Mikkel Mellon says, have you ever practiced alchemy? Well, what do you mean by that? Do you mean spiritual alchemy or like chemical alchemy? Like what the Paracelsian medical movement practiced? If it's like the Paracelsian alchemy that's practical, then no. I don't have... If I took chemistry in school, I would have failed it. I think I took biology and just barely passed. Like I wouldn't be against it. Now, as far as alchemy goes, I practice it from a spiritual, philosophical point of view. Like I said, in the tradition of... Well, I mean, like, spiritual alchemy technically existed before Jung, but it was people like him that really codified it and made it popular and made it easier to understand. But, like, there were spiritual alchemists that preceded Jung, people like Dorn, people like Kunrath, a couple others that I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, but people, Paracelsus to a certain degree, you know. Dracula the Undead, a ranking video for popular immersive sims. Is there even such a thing as a popular immersive sim? I think the closest one you could like that classifies as that is probably Deus Ex Human Revolution. But shit, like even Deus Ex, the original Deus Ex, is only popular amongst people that played it. People love Dishonored, but I think like the most a copy of those games sold was like 2 million copies. Same thing for Prey. I love Prey. People love Prey, but who played it? That's the problem with immersive simulator games. They're so awesome, but people, they really only have niche communities, you know? About a ranking video? I don't know. There's so many of them, and I haven't played all of them. I don't know. Maybe one day. Zagliz Aigawa says, why are you yellow? I don't know. Why are you hating? No, I'm kidding. Okay. Quick story on the Simpsons avatar. When I started doing YouTube, I didn't want to put my face out there, so I just looked for something that I could use to sort of use as a substitute. And I found an old image of myself as a Simpsons character on my computer, which I got from a website called SimpsonizeMe.com, which was around during the time the Simpsons movie came out back in 2007. I put my face into it, and that was the picture that came out. So, and sort of like all the jokes and the whole stay yellow thing sort of came out of that. So that's why I'm yellow. The Sai Shyster, interesting name, asks, a huge congratulations to you. Been watching since the FMA videos, and it's been an absolute joy watching you flourish. Here's to many more. Well, thank you for sticking along for so long. That's like over 3 years. Very based individual. They say, over the past couple of years, you've been delving into more Eastern philosophy and spiritualism, primarily Buddhism and Taoism. Have your studies so far illuminated new secrets to media you have made videos on before, beyond Zelda and the Team Eco games, of course? I want to say it has. I will say that, like, the more that I study it, the more, like, I sort of retroactively recognize patterns in old games I've covered. But when I try to think of them off the top of my head, the only one that I can think of right now is that, like, you know, the game Lost Odyssey. I covered that this past year, and it has a magic system that's very heavily influenced by Taoism, as far as I can tell. I'll say this, the Final Fantasy games, there's a lot more esoteric stuff that I could point to regarding that, especially regarding Final Fantasy IV. I want to do a video on that sort of stuff, but I just fear it sort of be a repetition of a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about recently regarding, like, the Tathagatas. Like, there's a reason why the early Final Fantasy games have you uniting the elements, particularly Final Fantasy 1 and 4. And I'm getting my ass kicked. Sorry. It's because it's a reference to the Shingon Buddhist tradition. And esoteric religious traditions, particularly the Eastern ones, are a great source of world building for video games, and that's where Hironobu Sakaguchi took a lot of inspiration from. Sorry, let me read the rest of your message. Personally, studying Taoism and by extension Confucianism and Neo-Confucianism in particular has allowed me to recontextualize and or find deeper appreciation in a lot of Japanese media. I know you have focused... Yeah, Confucianism is definitely a huge part of it as well. I know you have focused heavily on the concepts of yin, yang, qi, and how they interact, but the more I've gone beyond to try and comprehend the wider Taijutsu diagrams, such as the 8 trigrams, the 5 agents, the infinite void of Wuji, and even elements of Chinese astrology and geomancy, feng shui, I've made my mind aware of so many cultural roots permeating in Eastern media. If you have yet to familiarize yourself with the general principles of these, I cannot recommend enough that you give them a look. Yeah, that is true. Like, even in the video I just put out on Kuon, there's a lot of stuff regarding how astrology, Chinese astrology and geomancy in particular, and the trigrams of the Taoist tradition influenced the Onmyoji. But unfortunately, a game like Kuon didn't really go beyond what I talked about in that video. But if you can think of, like, ways that these things have influenced other games, maybe ones that I haven't played yet, please let me know. I'd love to go back and look at them from that perspective. But yeah, like, okay. Actually, let me step back just very quickly before I go on to the next question. There are, like, explicitly Asian games that have referenced stuff like this. Like, I've played Neo, I've played Wolong, Rise of the Ronin, the Team Ninja games, and they reference a lot of this stuff quite frequently, actually. Romance of the Three Kingdoms, that sort of stuff. I don't know, maybe I could do something on Neo at some point. That'd be pretty cool, I think. Yeah. If you have any other suggestions, again, let me know. Just submit them to me through my email, maxderrat@yahoo.ca. Okay? Have you heard of the visual novel Class of 09? I feel like I answered that question already. Simply Swayze says, Oxford comma, yay or nay? What? Yay? I don't know. Stan M says, I remember you explained the meaning of stay yellow in a video several years ago. Perhaps this is a good time to talk about it again for all the new followers since then. Well, okay, because I want to keep the pace going, I'm going to... Hold on, I'll switch the video in a second. I'm going to just refer people who are listening to this who don't know what Stay Yellow means to a video on my channel. Just search Stay Yellow Max Derrat explained in the YouTube search algorithm. Just the search bar. And you should find the video that explains it. But for now, I'm just going to move on. But before I do, let me just switch the video out real quick. Okay. Which Night Raid boss should we do next? Okay, so we've done Gaping Jaw, we just did Fulgore. Let's do Heal Store. That's the hardest one, right? Fuck, I did it again. I turned off the damn music. 1 second. Bear with me, ladies and germs. Oh, this video that I have actually... includes where I messed up at the beginning of a raid. I actually failed against Heal Store in this video. Okay, let me get a different one. Final ambience. Where was I? Okay, so it goes... Okay, that's good enough. Let's stay there. Alright, sorry about that. And then let me put OBS back on. And there we go. Everything good? Should be. Let me know if there's any problems. Here, I'll bring the live chat back up. Thanks, Parky Audio. I really appreciate it, dude. Okay, sorry, I need another sip of water. This is killing me. I might only be able to go for another 45 minutes. I don't know if I could do the full 3 hours. Alright. Sarcastic Doctor, I just saw your comment there. I will probably cover the Amnesia games relatively soon. Yeah, it's just kind of ridiculous that I haven't covered them. I'm sorry about that. Okay, back to the pre-submitted questions. Oh, here's another guy submitting a whole bunch of questions. Okay, now, this guy submitted 10 questions. I'm only going to pick one, okay? Kazutoria Burger says, congrats for the 500,000 subscribers. I've been following you for 3 years and got into psychology thanks to you. Thanks, man. I have a couple... questions. Okay, yeah, I'm only going to pick one, alright? Okay, well, he asks if MGS2 is still my favorite game ever made. Yes, it is. Okay, he's asking me, what's my favorite Simpsons episode? That's a good question. There's so many good ones. It might be... Speaking of Smashing Pumpkins, it might be the one where Homer becomes the human... What was it? The human cannonball? Where he takes the cannonball to the stomach as a part of the Hullabalooza Freak Show, which obviously is a play on the real-life Lollapalooza. And then there's like all the 90s big bands like Sonic Youth and Smashing Pumpkins and Cypress Hill. I love that show. That episode. Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins. Homer Simpson, smiling politely. Probably do a better Homer impression if my voice wasn't fucked up. Alright. Cleaver says, congratulations, hope to see more quality videos from you soon. Thank you, Cleaver. He asks, what piece of media impacted you the most and why? Oh, it's 3 questions. Okay, okay, I could probably answer these pretty quickly. What piece of media impacted you the most and why? Well, in terms of video games, it's Metal Gear Solid 2, obviously. Other pieces of media, I'd probably have to think about it. Which video did you enjoy making the most and why? Probably the video I did on Silent Hill Revelation. I just had so much fun coming up with jokes for that. And 3, if you could remake any of your past videos, which one would it be and why? Probably the one I did... I would love to go back and do the... redo the Metal Gear Solid retrospectives. I have a lot more that I could say on them, I think. Maybe the Eternal Darkness one. And I also talked about Siren. I want to go back and redo the one that I did on Siren. I think I could do that better. Alright. Lee Sim Michael asks, congratulations, a friend sent me your Control video. Been a sub ever since. Oh, that's a great... Okay, I actually hate my Control video. But I'm so glad you enjoyed it. That makes me so happy to hear that. I would love to go back and redo my Control video, but anyway. Been a sub ever since. Keep up the great work. Hope 2026 is good to you. Thank you, Lee, and thank you. I hope the same for you as well. Gork Shurut 4934 says, what kind of philosophy would you like to see in video games or other media that you think was not represented before or is just very overlooked? Alternatively, what would your dream video game would be like? Well, my dream video game would be a Pokemon MMO. Or Half-Life 3. Or Star Citizen if it actually were able to live up to the promises it was giving people, you know? But as far as philosophy, I'd like to see... I don't know, I feel like all my favorite forms of philosophy have been covered in video games in some form or another. Obviously, existentialist philosophy has had great impact on my life. I love the way that it's been implemented in games like Planescape Torment, Disco Elysium, Pathologic, Nier Automata. Well, the Nier games in general. I love to see more of a confluence between, like, philosophy and metaphysics. Like, for example, one of my sources of study right now is the usage, and I kind of referenced this earlier when I was talking about trinities and quaternities. It's the significance of the number 3 in metaphysics. You know, Hegel, he had this idea that throughout history, there's this idea of the world spirit manifesting itself in every aspect of life, and how it sort of transforms through constant dialectic between human beings. One person presents a thesis, another person presents an antithesis, and then both ideas come together to create a synthesis, which is the best ideas from both sides created into a better whole, and that's how Hegel felt things unfolded. And it's a number 3. It's a very complicated idea. I can't really explain it off the top of my head, but I don't know. Hopefully that's sufficient to address your question. Cloud924 Life says, when will we be getting a 12-hour-long Bionicle lore video Max Derrat style? Well, there's already one like that. Why would... Duckbricks already did one that was that long, and there was another guy that literally went into detail on every single character from the Bionicle universe. What could I possibly add? You know? I have a hard enough time doing a video that's nearly 30 minutes long. You think I could do 12 hours? But thank you for the question, Glad. I love Bionicle. I'm glad that you got a lot out of the video I did on it. Chrisen says, Q&A, any more Berserk analysis videos? Yeah, you know what? I haven't read Berserk since the Fantasia arc ended. I gotta get back into it. See what new stuff has been there. But yeah, I'd be down to go back to Berserk. Thanks for reminding me of that. Silent Hill's always... Yeah, there'll always be Silent Hill videos on this channel. I actually got one cooking at the moment that I'm thinking of doing relatively soon, so stay tuned for that. And he says keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Chrisen. Twiznich says, I've noticed that you started implementing more and more humor into your videos over time. I was wondering if this was difficult for you to start implementing, or was it something you had wanted to do for a while? Right. Well, the reason why I've been implementing it is because part of what you have to do on YouTube to stay relevant is you have to keep reinventing yourself while also trying to cater to your core audience by keeping, like, doing the same things that have already been done, right? And one thing that I've tried to do to keep people's interest is to try and incorporate humor. You know, some people have responded well to it, some people haven't. But generally, I think it's worked. And that's just one of many examples of what you have to do. It's hard. You know, I'm not... Like, I have a decent sense of humor, but, like, coming up with jokes that will land for the majority of people is tough. But it's what you gotta do. It's part of the creative process, you know, just trying to find out new things that people will be interested in and things that people will want to click on, right? All right. Bogey says, congratulations on 500,000 subscribers, Max. That's huge. I just have one simple question I want to ask. Have you ever considered making more videos regarding the Half-Life series? Because the videos you did on the G-Man were really fascinating, and exploring topics and characters like the Combine and Father Grigori would be really interesting. Keep up the good work, man. I don't know. Like, look, as soon as something new with Half-Life is coming out, you're damn right I'm making a video on it the same day. I love Half-Life. Half-Life 2 is a top 10 favorite game of all time for me. But I feel like I've said everything about it that I can. I feel like everybody else has done the same thing as well. You know, like, part of the reason why I've never done a video on Portal is because it's been exhausted. Everything has been said about Portal that can possibly be said about Portal, even though, like, there's a lot of stuff in Portal that would be perfect for my style of content. But everybody's talked about it before, you know? But trust me, like, we've been hearing rumors about, like, this Half-Life X thing going on behind the scenes, maybe having something to do with the Steam machine. Yeah, if anything comes of that, you're damn right I'm doing a video on it. Asama Saad says, if video games are a form of art, which 3 games would you recommend to prove that? Well, you'd have to pick games where you're trying to convince people that otherwise don't really have an affinity for games to convince them, right? What are games that are art that would be easy for people to play? Okay, well, probably one of them would be Journey. That's probably the easiest one. One game that came to mind is Outer Wilds, but I don't think that's a very approachable game for like somebody who doesn't play games. But I think it's probably one of the best examples of games as art. But would it be one that would convince somebody? I don't think so. Games as art to convince somebody. Maybe Metal Gear Solid 2, but like it's not necessarily the easiest game for like a non-gamer to pick up. Oh, Before Your Eyes. I think that's a great example of a very approachable game that's artistic. And then what's another one? So Before Your Eyes, Journey. And I don't know, guys. Help me out. Help me out in the comments. Give me an idea. People think art is when a guy's sad, so they recommend The Last of Us. Yeah. Shadow of the Colossus. But see, here's the problem. Shadow of the Colossus is definitely art, but you know, I've seen a lot of people who didn't play Shadow of the Colossus back in the day try and go play it, and all they ever do is complain about the camera. You know, Soma? Yeah, Soma. Maybe. There are a couple points in that game where it'd be kind of easy to get stuck, but yeah, you know what? Soma is actually a really... I think Soma's pretty good. And What Remains of Edith Finch. Okay, so yeah, I know you asked for 3, but let's go with 4. What Remains of Edith Finch, Soma, Before Your Eyes, and Journey. I think those are 4 wonderful examples to show to people that might think video games aren't art and convince them otherwise. Good call, guys. Good call. All right. Nihal Shekwat says, "Hi Max, congratulations for 500,000 subs. Thank you very much." He says, "I have 2 questions. 1, how do you decide topics for our videos? And 2, what was an instance in your life which motivated you to upload videos?" Well, I tend to decide topics for my videos based on recommendations people leave me in my comment section. That's virtually where I get all of them from. And 2, the instance in my life, it's kind of controversial. I'd rather not really talk about it right now. I'll just say that I was sort of fretting about the way that the direction of the world was going, and I just started randomly putting out my thoughts on YouTube. And like back in when I originally started my YouTube channel, I was just sort of doing whatever the hell I wanted to talk about. And then the thing that initially landed was me doing a video analyzing the video game Inside, and people really liked it. So, and also the autism videos, and so I did both of those for a time until the autism videos started hurting my channel, and then I just started doing video game analysis primarily. So yeah. Care Estar, what are some games you really... Oh, sorry. My mouth just twitched. Care Estar asks, what are some games you really want to make videos on in the new year? I feel like Cyberpunk 2077, especially the Phantom Liberty expansion, would be a goldmine of existentialism. I agree, Estar. I actually finished watching Cyberpunk Edge Runners for the first time a few days ago with my wife. Awesome anime. Absolutely awesome piece of work. One of the greatest video game adaptations ever. Right up there with Arcane and The Last of Us Season 1. It really made me want to go back and play Cyberpunk. I've tried to play Cyberpunk twice in my life, and I just kind of bounced off it. Not because I didn't think it was awesome, it's just, you know, one of those things. But yeah, now that it's, you know, got all the updates out and Phantom Liberty, yeah, I'd probably definitely pick that game to go back and check out. I do want to do another video or 2 on The Witcher before Witcher 4 comes out. I need to do Drakengard 2 at some point. I just get the feeling that Yoko Taro is going to announce something at some point. Yeah, I'd have to think about that a little bit more. There are other Zelda games I want to cover. I want to do one on Skyward Sword, A Link to the Past. Yeah. All right. Nyako says, congratulations, Max. How do you begin in the alchemy? How did I begin in the alchemy, or how do you begin in alchemy generally speaking? If it's the latter, I have a video called How to Become an Alchemist, so you can watch. Go watch that. Has a bunch of recommendations regarding like media that you can consume. One thing that I would add to that video that I didn't include in it at the time is you should definitely watch the YouTube channel Esoterica. Dr. Justin Sledge is absolutely amazing, and he's invaluable for studying alchemy. As for how I began in alchemy, it was just from reading Jung and his researches into the psychological applications of alchemical literature. Really. Oh, my throat. Oh, jeez Louise. Are the Drakengard's games worth playing if I loved both Nier games? I'd say you should just play them, just so you can sort of complete your experience of the franchise. I'm not really a big fan of Drakengard 1 and 3. I respect Drakengard 1 as a work of art, even though I don't think it's a very good game. And I have a very, negative opinion, generally, of Drakengard 3, even though I think it has a lot of good elements. Drakengard 2 is probably my favorite, even though it's not canon. But yeah, I'd say check them out. You might have a different experience than I do. Alright, give me a second, guys. I need to just rest my voice for a second. You know what? Just give me another minute. I'm just going to go fill up my water bottle and use the washroom. And we'll get back to it, okay? So just enjoy me... enjoy the music and enjoy me trying not to die here. I'll be right back. Thank you for your patience. I don't know how streamers do it, man. There's some streamers that go for 6 or 8 hours a day talking nonstop. I cannot imagine doing that. I love talking to you guys. It's just the toll it takes on my throat. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna switch back over to the live chat in a second, but before I do, I'm just gonna take a couple more pre-submitted questions. Alright. Harissa J. Mary? Oh, man, these people, your names are amazing, guys. Submits a question, says, firstly, congratulations, and you deserve it. Thank you very much, Harissa. My question is, what's your perspective of change on the internet of working 10 years on it, especially cultural changes? Let me read that again. My question is, what's your perspective of change on the internet of working 10 years on it, especially cultural changes? Oh, well, I mean, it's hard to say. It just hasn't gotten more negative, right? Seems like everybody's just at each other's throats. Like, I did my video on Metal Gear Solid 2, the codec conversation from that game like 6 years ago, and it's only become almost 7 years ago, and it's only become even more true, right? But you know, the internet is, despite that, the internet is a wonderful invention for a variety of different reasons. It's how I make my living, for instance, you know? But just the wealth of information that's accessible to us, factual information, if you know how to look for it, if you know how to put aside all the chaff, all the fake news and stuff like that. All right, and then one more from the pre-submitted. Hey Max, what is your personal... I feel like I already answered that question. Light Knight, what is your personal philosophy if you have one? Yeah, I think I answered that. Dream End Dominator asks again, will you read Umineko? I haven't yet, but I will, I promise. Douglas J says, are you a fan of superhero comics? I mean, I'm not a fan. Like, I like reading the occasional one, but I don't actively read them. And Fear Rogue asks, why do I look like The Simpsons? I already answered that question. All right. Let's switch back over to the live chat. So yeah, ever heard of... Dragnarok says, have you ever heard of Fatalis and its 3 versions, black, crimson, and white? No, I don't know what Fatalis is. Here, let me write... I ran out of space on my sticky note. I'm going to write that down on another one. Fatalis. Black, white, crimson. Thanks for all the suggestions, guys. I appreciate it. Ridden Justice, by the way, congrats, Max. You deserve it. Genius level observation and intelligence. God bless you, sir. I really appreciate your kind words. What's your thoughts on indie animation like A Hell of a Boss or Murder Drones? I've neither heard of either. I've never heard of either, Greg Gaston, unfortunately. I apologize. Hi, Max. Would you consider covering the Echo the Dolphin games from the Sega and PS2 era? Why? Like, is there, like, really anything worth talking about in there that's sort of in my normal wheelhouse? Like, from what I understand, Echo the Dolphin had some pretty good games, but I don't know, is there anything really worth a typical, like, academic analysis about Echo the Dolphin? I don't know. Anyway, let me scroll back up. Hacks Crossover says, I have a serious question, and the Bible says that God is love, therefore love is God. I'm making a game where you start at the prima materia. My question is, can love be the prima materia? How do I... So the prima materia marks the beginning of the alchemical process, right? And the Philosopher's Stone is the end. If you want to take a Christian perspective on it, God is the beginning and the end. That's why Jesus called himself the Alpha and the Omega, right? So the beginning and the end is God. The beginning and the end, love is at the beginning and love is at the end. I know this probably isn't making a whole lot of sense. I'm just sort of trying to parse this out loud in my head and out loud. The prima materia is sort of like the elements of love dispersed, whereas the Philosopher's Stone is love in perfect harmony. Because where do you go after you complete the ultimate goal of alchemy? You go back to the beginning, right? So God is there at the end and God is there at the beginning. So yeah, I think it'd be fine to characterize God as love. I don't know if that made any sense. Rapid eye movement. How often do you guys and girls experience synchronicities? Honestly, not that often, but I'll say this. The thing that made me decide to do the video that's coming up next was actually a synchronicity. And it happened when I was watching Cyberpunk Edgerunners. And the thing that made me decide to do the subject of my next video actually has something to do with, what's her name? The main female chick. What the hell's her name? It's not Lily, is it? Well, anyway, it's the one chick that was always talking about going to the moon. it's something regarding her that made me like, okay, this is a sign I gotta do this. This is my next video. Alright. Alright, let me scroll back up. Oh, the Eider sends in a $2 super chat. Thank you. He says, I still wanted to see you analyze Hell's Paradise. Yes, I know. Like, that's an anime, right? People have been recommending that to me for a few years. You know what? I'll recommend that to my wife, because normally a lot of the anime that I do watch, we watch together. And like I said earlier on, we're about to finish watching all Shinichiro Watanabe stuff. So, yeah, I'll look into that. Thank you for the recommendation. But only 1 and 3 are by Yoko Taro. Yeah, I know Drakengard 1 and 3 are the ones by Yoko Taro, and 2 is... That's why I said 2 is not canon. Ridden Justice, did you play the Fallout games? Yeah, I played some of them. I've played mostly Fallout New Vegas, but I played a decent amount of 3 and 4. They're ones that I really need to go back and play, though. But I want to just feel like I'm done with New Vegas before I ever go back and tackle those ones. Maybe when the Fallout 3 remaster comes out. We'll see. Scythe Access, would it be alright if I recommended some of your older videos to other creators for reaction content? It could help your channel gain more viewership. Yeah, absolutely, man. Go ahead. That's fine. Chris Burke says, I don't understand why you stopped talking about autism. I think your perspective was very good and necessary, Max. Well, thank you, Chris. But I think I've addressed like 2 or 3 times in this stream already why I stopped doing it. Like, hey, let me put it to you this way. If you guys wanted to help finance the creation of like more autism videos to sort of help protect me against the YouTube algorithm, then I might do something like that. I'm not saying I would, but like we could have discussions about that, like in the YouTube community tab or on Patreon. I'm not against the idea. It's just, unfortunately, like I said, it's doing autism videos kills my channel's ranking and kills people clicking on my channel and viewing my videos. It sucks. But it's the reality of being a YouTuber. All right. Let's see. Yeah, it's the Self-Front, man. I'm sorry about that, dude. Disco Elysium as an example of... Yeah, there are tons of games that are great examples of games as art. It's about like trying to choose a game to sort of convince somebody that a game is art. I think Disco Elysium is a wonderful artistic game. X2 Fata Morgana. Yeah, I'm gonna do the House in the Fata Morgana at some point. Okay. Lucy. Yeah. Why did I think it was Lily? I'm sorry. Thank you, everybody. Have you played Final Fantasy 15? No, I haven't yet. I'm probably gonna do that after I finish Final Fantasy 12. At some point. Devin Sauls, did you consider making content combining gaming and autism? Yeah, like I said, stay tuned for next week. Stay tuned for next week. Great guest on. I answered that question before. I don't know what autist is. Like, I think it's the same thing. I don't know what that is. Sorry. Yes, Lucy. Okay, thank you. What's your opinion? I'm Silverquest. Hey, Max, what's your opinion on contemporary esotericism like Wicca, Thelema, etc.? I don't really study too much of them. You know, like, as an alchemist, I just try to read as much as I can and try to take elements from a bunch of different religious traditions that make sense. You know, patterns across various religious traditions that make sense. I haven't looked that much into Wicca or Thelema beyond just sort of like the general history. Yeah, I'm not exactly against it. Ooh-wee! Clarence and Eugene both with $10 super chats. You guys rock. Thank you so much. Okay, Clarence says, thank you for the help with the Lemonade logo a few years back. Where are the Max babies at? Babies make everything better. The Lemonade logo. I don't remember... Oh, God, my memory is absolutely crap. I'm sorry, I don't remember what you're talking about, Clarence. Like, my memory is absolutely terrible. I forget things that I was supposed to, like... so often during the day that I think about doing something and then 7 seconds later I completely forget about it, but that's just the nature of having an autist ADHD brain. I am so sorry. Please remind me of what you're talking about. And Eugene Poole says, Max, did you know that Red Dead 2 and MGS5 are two sides of the same coin? Their narratives and characters are disturbingly similar, inverted parallels of each other. Huh. So, Arthur Morgan and Venom Snake. Is it, though? In what way do you mean? I'm just trying to think about that. I don't know. Like I'm trying to like. Can you give me an example of what you mean, Eugene? All right. Both old dudes. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much for Hex Crossover. I really appreciate those kind words. Red Lake Music says, hi, have you ever watched As Above, So Below? It's a found footage horror movie. I love your videos. I know that movie. I remember it coming out so many years ago, and it looked interesting, but I just read a whole bunch of reviews that said it wasn't very good. Does it have, like, esoteric elements to it? Hi, Eistening. Hello. What are your thoughts on Ayn Rand and objectivism? Has it influenced you or your work at all? I think objectivism is fine for... Objectivism is too totalizing an ideology, and unfortunately, it's something that works for people with a certain degree of will and inbuilt talent and skill. It's fine for people like Andrew Ryan, who, from BioShock, people that aren't evil like him, but that sort of have a go-getter attitude like him. But unfortunately, no matter what you do, there's just some people that aren't going to be able to adapt to that type of way of life. That's why I love BioShock so much. It's like two guys representing both sides of an argument. Both are valid perspectives, but both have gone crazy trying to advocate for both sides and not admitting where the other side is right. Right? Like Frank Fontaine and Andrew Ryan are both nuts and evil, but they both have points, right? God, I can't wait for Judas. That's another game that I can't wait to play. Princess Snow White New asks, Max Derrat, do you play Silent Hill 4 nowadays? I play it occasionally. And when I do, it's normally just the first half because I don't like playing the second half. Kind of like Silent Hill F in that way. Ever heard of a furry VN called... I don't know what that means. Sorry, Grey Gaston. Okay, I'm gonna take a few more questions from the live chat and then go back over to the pre-submitted questions. I don't know how much longer I can do this, guys. But thank you so much for sticking around with me and supporting me. Greg Gaston said, ever heard of Keith Ballard? No, I've never heard of him. La Guitarra de Lolo, face reveal when? When I get to 1 million subscribers. Mentor Assassin said, should I wait for the Silent Hill 1 remake or should I just play the original? I hate tank controls then. I don't know, I tend to recommend people try all the Silent Hill games, except I do give a caveat for one because I think it's the one that hasn't aged the best. Maybe just wait for the remake. Greg Gaston asks, going to do a video on Silk Song at some point, probably not for a long time though. I haven't even had time to play it, even though I desperately want to. Are you hyped for Control Resident? Toby Lake asks. Absolutely, it was my favorite reveal at the Game Awards. Did I miss anything? Can you drop a link in the chat? I mean, I wouldn't mind. I don't know if it'll just get automatically marked as spam, but yeah, go ahead. It's a mid-movie, but it has elements of Alchemy and the Hell. Okay, gotcha. Clarence Bigham says, you helped me make a symbol with the 4 elements for the Philosopher's Stone. It's called... Oh, I remember! Yes! Oh, yes, I remember that. That was so cool. Did that turn out okay? Were you able to... It's crushing farmers markets? Really? Can you, link me to, somewhere where that I can see the logo being in use? That is so cool, Clarence. Thoughts on Justin Trudeau? I'm not a fan, but, you know, I'm not a fan of politicians in general. Excuse me. Icening asks, were there any others on YouTube who inspired you to make videos? Yes, so where I listed a whole bunch of them earlier on, just off the top of my head. People like Ragnaroks, people like Nomad Colossus, Jacob Geller, a whole bunch of others that I can't really think of off the top of my head. I don't know if you answered this, but what is this playlist? It's my own custom playlist, dude. Stitch Lip Studios. Alright, I'm gonna go hop over to the pre-submitted questions. You know what? I'm probably just gonna do this for another 10 minutes, guys. You've submitted so many questions. You've all been so wonderful. Thank you so much for sticking with me and hanging out with me on your Saturday afternoon. I really appreciate it. But I'm just gonna take a few more because this is killing me. Oh my god. Whew. Alright. Rhyme, I think I've answered this question already. What would be your dream game? Rhymenoceros asks. I already said my dream game would be a Pokemon MMO. And yes, an RPG with occult themes? No, it'd be a Pokemon MMO. Although if you want to insert occult themes into there, you already can, but I think they already did that with Sun and Moon. Pokemon Sun and Moon, I think. Alright. Manny Stovall submits 5 questions. I'm only going to have to answer one of them, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll answer this one. Is there any chance you would do a video on both the Fear series and the Condemned games? As a matter of fact, I wanted to do a retrospective on the entire Fear series about 3 years ago. And it was this close to happening. So what happened? Why didn't it happen? Well, I was going to do it in October, you know, because of Halloween and all that. And I was going to do 2 games. One, I was going to do The Suffering, which I did do a video on. And then I was going to do a video retrospective on Fear. Here's the thing. I put out a video on The Suffering, and it didn't do very well. And I think part of the reason why is because there's this other YouTuber who's very popular that did a video on The Suffering at the same time that I did. And I had a whole bunch of people from his channel come over to mine and say, wow, this is so cool that we're getting videos from these 2 guys at the same time. But I got the feeling that because I did it at the same time, that's the reason why barely anybody watched it. And by the way, that YouTuber was Civvy, who's a great YouTuber. You guys should absolutely go and check him out. He's hilarious and does really great videos. But then, like, I was going to do Fear right after that. But guess what? Civvy did a video on Fear. I thought, well, shit. I don't really feel like having all my views taken away again, so I just put it on the back burner. I don't know. Maybe next October. We'll see. And as far as Condemned, I remember Condemned 1 was pretty good. I didn't really like Condemned 2 all that much, except for that whole bear thing, which was really, really, really cool. But I don't really remember that much about it. I'd have to go back and look into it. But thanks for the recommendation. No, I mean like a proper Pokemon MMO. A Pokemon MMO that's like a really good one, an official one. Did I watch Pluribus yet, Coke People asked? No, I said earlier on I'm going to wait until the whole series is out. Bug Native asks, what does Stay Yellow mean? I already explained that earlier on. Stream and Tell says, also, what's your favorite thing to do for leisure? You never really tell us about your day-to-day. I mean, besides video games, by the way. What's a day in your life look like? Really, what I just love doing is just going on walks. It's the most relaxing thing. Spending time with my wife. Going to the movies is probably my favorite thing to do. Just to be in a quiet room where nobody's talking and you're just watching a movie, eating popcorn. My favorite thing to do. And very simple that way. Hi, Elisa. Hey, shout out to Lady Asmodeus. She's Eliza that I mentioned at the very beginning of the stream. She's the one that's helped me do my a bunch of my thumbnails in the past. Max, have you watched The Void? No, I have not watched The Void. Trying to answer as many questions as I can before my voice gives out. Samuel Webb says, love your videos, Max. Thank you, Samuel. My question is more advice-oriented. I am a high-functioning autistic adult and want to pursue writing. Any advice on how to make a living until I can support myself with my work? My main hindrance in the workforce is social interaction. Though otherwise I am a great worker, probably one of the best when I am employed. Yeah, that tends to be the case for people like us, man. Well, you can do what I did. Like, I used to work another job and then just did YouTube randomly until it got enough traction that I was able to leave the other job and just do it full time. Yeah, kind of sounds like you're going through what I went through. And as I said earlier on, if you want to be a YouTuber, the most important thing that you can do, aside from try to figure out what you can do differently from everybody else, is think about what the most important thing you can do is put out content persistently without stopping. Even when you get discouraged, that is the most important thing. Don't ever stop. Why is a carrot oranger than an orange? These questions. Has the creative urge ever compelled you to work on your own original universe that reflects similar qualities to the video game titles you cover? That question was asked by Aroldrin. Yeah, like I've had ideas here and there in the past, but I can't think of anything concrete off the top of my head. I've always been more of a non-fiction kind of guy. Frankly, Boy says, will there ever be an analysis of Xenosaga? Yes, there will be. I just want to make sure that when I do it right. Do you think Silent Hill could ever be properly translated to a movie/show format? Of course, it's called Jacob's Ladder. Unfortunately, the people that have been put in charge of like other media for Silent Hill that aren't the games don't understand Silent Hill. You know? Alright. I'm gonna go back over to the live chat, answer a few more questions, and I'm done. Sorry guys, thank you so much for sticking with me and being awesome. You know what? I'm just gonna... Here, you guys want to see me mess up against Heal Store? I'm just gonna skip back to the beginning of the video. Alright, Scythax with that 200. I don't know what that denomination is, but thank you so much for being awesome. Dishwasher's the best job pay-wise we ASD can get reliably. Yeah, but I mean... all that hot water and all those dishes clanging together. Like, some people with autism can handle that, some people can't. Sebastian, what role do you think autism plays in romantic relationships? Well, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. When it comes to romantic relationships, what autistic people have both a benefit and a curse. Romance for people with autism is going to be harder to find initially. You're going to have to wait a whole lot longer and go through a whole bunch more people that are going to love you for who you are. But when you do find that person, the relationship that you're going to have with that person is going to be a stronger bond than the vast majority of the human race will ever have. Because when an autistic person finds somebody that doesn't judge them for who they are, like I did with my wife, that is the greatest treasure that you could ever receive in your life, and you will do everything that you can to hold on to it. So that's the message of hope that I give to people that feel like romance is out of grasp for people with autism, you know? Paradox Voice says, I want an audiobook narrated by Max Derrat. Yeah. Green Eggs and Ham by Max Derrat, that'd be dope. Critical asks, Max, what philosophical framework do I personally identify with? I kind of answered this before. It's a mixture of a bunch of them. I mean, like, I love the existentialist tradition the most, obviously, but it's hard to really say I'm an existentialist. You know, I love Nietzsche, I love Kierkegaard, I love reading Camus. But I wouldn't say like I necessarily adopt all their ideas. I love Schopenhauer, I certainly don't adopt all of his ideas. Alright. One or two more. Mentor Assassin said, would you recommend the Xenosaga games if I love the Xenoblade games? Yes, absolutely, 100%. 100%. Xenosaga is absolutely amazing. And you would absolutely love it if you love Xenoblade. Have you heard of the game Sally Face? One of my wife's favorite games. I've never heard of it. Nope. I'll write that one down as well. Probably the last one I'll write down. Sally Face. Thank you. Do you think there is Paradox Voice asks, do you think there is alchemical references in Minecraft? Minecraft lore YouTubers trying to solve the Minecraft magic system for years now. I do find it weird that there is one thing that I noticed. I mentioned this in my Ion series, that when you mix lava and water together in Minecraft, it creates obsidian. And obsidian, at least from the alchemical text that I've read, is a symbol for the dragon, which is also a symbol that's identified with the alchemical concept of the union of opposites. It's the dragon's stone. So unifying fire and water as opposites to create obsidian seems appropriate. But outside of that, I don't know. Grey Fox asks, have you published any Death Stranding recap videos? No, I haven't. There are tons of those on YouTube that I think are much better than anything that I could do. And Hex Crossover says, when would you do another Q&A? I don't know. Honestly, I would love to do something like monthly. Like, kind of like what Ross Scott does over at Accursed Farms, but honestly, guys, I'm gonna level with you real quick before I finish. Anything social for me is very difficult. Like, even doing this is very nerve-wracking for me. It's very stressful. I'm not a very... Sorry. Like, I want to interact more with you guys, and, you know, just sort of give back and show thanks for all the support and love and kindness that you guys have shown me over the years, but it's just sort of gotten harder and harder to deal with my anxiety disorder as the years have gone by, so I don't know. I will do another Q&A at some point. I can't say when, but please be patient with me. I think that's it, guys. I'm sorry. You know what? I'll take one more. I think, Paradox, I think you asked this, like somebody asked this before, did you finish Higurashi? I'm almost done Higurashi. Will you be doing a video on Liza P's DLC? Yeah, that's another, somebody asked me before if you could go back and do a video over again, which would you do? Liza P's a good one. Like, I like the one that I did on Liza P, but I feel like I could do more. And I actually finished the Overture DLC recently. It was pretty good. You ever notice how Ergo is very similar to the concept of Chi and Ether, as I described it in one of my more recent videos? Just something to think about. Anyways, guys, have you ever played the original Demon's Souls? Yes, I have, and that's another one I gotta do a video on. But that'll do it for me, guys. We've gone for 2.5 hours. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday afternoon with me. I love each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for helping me reach this milestone. I couldn't have done it without your love and your support and your continued viewership. It means the world to me. You guys have given me the opportunity to do a job that is meaningful and that could support me for the past several years. And I can never express my gratitude for that adequately. So, thank you so much. Stay tuned for next week. I'll have a couple of videos relatively close to each other. I think I'm going to release my next one on the 27th, so that'll be a week from now. Until then, well, here, just very quickly, you guys want to see me get owned by Heal Store? Yeah, here we go. Let's just watch me get owned by Heal Store. Yeah. My throat. Yep, thanks for dropping by, Critical, Flurry, Lysis, Redinjaz, Mojo, The End is the Beginning is the End, Malcolm, Haxcross, Paradox, Dufo, Redlick, Dragon of the West. Love all of you. Thank you so much for dropping by. Here, kill me, Heal Store. Kill me. Come on. Oh, whoop. There we go. Alright. I did beat him earlier. I have beaten all the Everdark Sovereigns. Still trying to beat balancers on Everdark, but, you know, it'll happen eventually. Alright. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Kwasi Kwanzaa. Tit-tot-tet. Solemn, humble Ramadan. I think that's what Krusty the Clown says. And until the new year, well, until the 27th and the new year, I want to remind you guys, as always, and as per usual,